Good morning, beautiful people. This is Christy. I am the Intimate Warrior. Thank you so much for stopping by. And as always, I send you love. Wasn't that cheesy of an intro? But oh well. Let's keep it real, folks. Let's keep it real. So I have been up a long time today. It's 11 o'clock here, Eastern Standard Time, and it's taken me this long to be able to do this video. Not because I haven't had anything in my back pocket to talk about, because I have. I've just been kind of quiet, wanting to take some time to myself, and I know you guys understand that. I was up a lot last night receiving, making connections and trying to understand some things, given lots of wisdom. And as I was receiving, of course, that connection came that we will be having another power day coming up that's going to be highly significant. I ended up also, which is going to be March the 3rd, by the way. March the 3rd. 3-3. Ooh! 33. This is a time when things are going to line up. Yeah, and I guess we say that a lot. Things are going to line up. Things are going to make sense. We're going to make some connections. Which is always true. Because as we learn something, we begin to connect something. Something lines up. Something makes sense. And we become what we receive according to everything that we understand. Of course, for myself, knowing that this power day is approaching, that things are going to make a connection, and I'm getting ready to start crying. I ended up having other synchronicities, an email that specifically told me things are lining up. Your life is making more sense. You are becoming everything that you knew was possible. You are going to receive everything that you can ever imagine or dream of. A lot of us already know what the number 33 signifies. But I am going to tell you more. Here are just some things. That the 33 represents. There are 33 pairs of nerve groups passing through the structure of the spine. In Buddhism, the highest chakra, which is the crown chakra, is represented by a flower with a white center and 33 downward pointing petals. There are 33 turns in the complete sequence of human DNA. The animal kingdom is divided by biologists into 33 phyla. The lowest temperature in Fahrenheit at which water remains a liquid is 33 degrees, which also means that if you're counting upwards, the first temperature at which water, the most essential substance for all life begins to flow is also 33 degrees Fahrenheit. The blue moon is when there are two full moons in the same month. This phenomenon occurs on an average of every 33 months. The sun will rise at the exact same spot in the horizon every 33 years. The 33rd day of the year is February the 2nd, which is also known as Groundhog Day. Jesus lived on earth for 33 years before he ascended. In numerology, 33 is a master number representing the highest spiritual achievement, which is sometimes called Christ consciousness. King David ruled in Jerusalem for 33 years. In the English version of Genesis, God is mentioned 33 times. The Bible records 33 miracles performed by Jesus, and in the Kabbalah Tree of Life, it has 33 elements if you include the whole and all of its parts. Well, there are 33 vertebrae within the spine. Everything is lining up. Everything is lining up. The number 33 appears at significant moments within the Bible. For example, again, the 33rd time that Noah's name is mentioned in the Bible, it is when God promises him salvation, which is in Genesis 9:8 through 17. God speaks about the rainbow. It will be a sign of that solemn promise that he gave to Noah. The rainbow represents the 7 chakras. When we clear our 7 chakras, we destroy negative personality traits, outdated beliefs, and systems that no longer serve who you are, including those bad habits, which of course generate bad energy. Bad energy within us will attract, it's 11:11 on the clock, will attract bad luck as a result. I have been witnessing the 11:11 again for maybe a month, maybe less. I'm not really. I'm aware, but I'm not really keeping track, except this week it's coming more into my awareness. The 11:11 will come to you several times, a lot throughout your process here. When you need to wake up, you will get that message. Many people don't see it as a sign of them waking up or the need to wake up. They're just making a wish and blowing it away, which means it's probably going to continue being persistent in their life. Those who are taking it as a message, working through it, figuring things out, the 11:11 will go away, just like all other numbers in your life will go away. And I know this video is not about 11:11, but it's important to talk about it. The 11:11, again, if you are learning your messages, learning your lessons, it will appear and then it will go away, like I just said and repeated myself there. Then when it's time for you to wake up again, because we're always waking up to something more, it will return at that level of where you are or where you're about to head. So this 1111 is coming to me now, signifying that I am waking up to my current state, which is matching March the 3rd. You can transform this energy. Back to the chakras now. You can transform energy by changing your habits, changing your mind, changing your emotions, changing your wording, changing your actions. Every time you do that, you are changing from unlucky to very lucky. The habitual mind is not easy to overcome because the ego is tricking you into believing that what you are doing is, in fact, the best thing for you. Even when the conscious mind knows what the ego wants, it's not within the best interest. So how many times have you fallen for temptation, lower desires, even though you knew it was not the best thing for you to do? Those are the moments when the ego desires you to fulfill a habitual need. And even though you consciously try to resist, emotions get the better of you and you cave in, unable to break a bad habit. When you don't make the sacrifices in your life, you don't transform the negative energy into positive energy, which means you are not allowing the sacred secretion. You're not raising your vibration and attaining the 33rd state of consciousness. Again, at the age of 33, Jesus sacrificed his life and was reborn. This ties in with the sacred secretion and what I am talking about what I have been talking about this past month. It's very significant in when it's taking place now on March the 3rd, with this date reflecting, the time is reflecting what's taking place energetically. I've been giving a heads up. I have been foretold what's taking place because I have been going through this personally prior to the events. Many of us are going through this prior to the event. Those who are in the earlier stages or learning their lessons or have, of course, come to this point. Yet there are going to be those who end up reaching this level after the event. It takes the event to happen, for the most part, in true reality, before others can experience it. We'll eventually get to a point where we outgrow what we are doing negatively. I outgrew, of course, it took me, 16, maybe 17 years after my accident of being just completely miserable, limited, diseased, obese, separated. And of course, this has gone on my entire life, really. But it got worse, most definitely, after my accident, and really kind of got my attention. So we will eventually get to a point of, I'm just completely done. Now what? It's time for change. But right when you are aware that you need a change, is when the subconscious mind is going to come back in and fight you. Fight you to change. It's going to try to prevent you, not because you or your brain doesn't want you to succeed. It's the natural way that it has been created to protect you. It's a protection against failure, yet in not pushing through, you're failing yourself. When you are able to make a sacrifice, which is to defeat that mind and do something opposite of what you are used to, you expand your conscious awareness. You begin the process of overcoming negative emotions. You begin to go against material desires, and then eventually you achieve Christ consciousness after you have successfully passed the 33rd vertebrae. That's where the true sacrifice or the crucifixion begins. In Revelation, it takes God 3.5 years to accomplish the final judgment that leads to the second coming of Christ. God is a euphemism. Euphemism. Am I saying that word correctly? It used to flow out of my mouth. For energy and a higher state of consciousness. The Bible's references to the 3.5 is a number of turns it takes for the Kundalini energy to travel from the root to the crown. And this is what I actually mentioned about the orb in my eye. It's 3 complete cycles of up and down, up and down, up and down, and on its final process or ascent, it transforms. And I forgot to mention this. My orb, I began to realize that I think I mentioned it. It became, sometime I mentioned it, where it looks, I mentioned it. Where I ended up seeing an embryo on the inside of the orb. When I think it was already a triple orb. Now it's shifted again to the entire orb is now in the form of a true fetus. That's going vertically. I'm really trying not to. Have so many emotions today. The esoteric connection with the 33rd in Jacob's ladder corresponds, of course, with the spine, and the ascension process of climbing that ladder. It is written, and he dreamed, and behold, there was a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven, and behold, the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. the Lord stood above it and said, I am the Lord. I am with you and will keep you wherever you go and will bring you back to this land. For I will not leave you until I have done that of which I have spoken to you. God tells Jacob he will bring him back to this land. Heaven and earth is the body and the mind. The kingdom of God is within the highest mind within you by eliminating your limitations, your fears, your failures, past teachings, everything. And in order to reach it, the earth of your physical body has to be cleared of all trauma associated to the negative mind. There's a deep connection between the mind and the body. And when we are actually thinking lower vibrational thoughts, when we are mostly living within fear, the brain ends up sending out toxic neurotransmitters that ends up damaging our DNA, which, of course, can create diseases. It's learning to break yourself free of the type of viruses, the infections that stem from reality. One of the first things that I ended up having to do in the beginning process when I was trying to retrain my mind, my limited mind, was to stop watching TV, especially the news. But I removed myself if I couldn't shut down my mind while being within the same room. I would remove myself and go do something productive. And that's when becoming an online fitness coach with, of course, Beachbody, and I laugh about it now, became so beneficial to me. Why it was such a significant part of my life. It helped me, it saved me. I was learning something new. I was putting new information into my mind, on top of still staying active and giving back. I am grateful to what Beachbody has done for me, or did for me back then. What that type of gathering and community also did for me. I am grateful for that. But then I had to add, I even came back and started adding, of course, personal development. Began listening to music. Began getting outside more. I definitely stopped talking about all of the things that I didn't like. And I began thinking of things that I loved. Remembering the things that I loved in my life that was current. And then envisioning a life that I wanted to achieve. And began to journal more. write more, of course, as a result. My mind was expanding. I was given my mind back as a result. So on top of that, as I mentioned, you have the spine, of course, has 33 vertebrae. Jacob had 33 children. The vertebrae, of course, starts at the root chakra and ends at the base of the crown. As I mentioned earlier in the brief description of when I began this video, the Star of David, it tells us in the Bible that, well, he actually reigned. King David ruled for 33 years. The first phase of his rule was only over the tribe of Judah, which lasted for 7 years, which represents the 7 energy centers of the body. Israel gets his name from Isis, the female principle of Ra, which is a lower consciousness, and El, which is another word for God, which represents higher consciousness. As you can see, the number 33 is highly significant. The 33, although is a master number and of course has the vibration of a master teacher and signifies Christ consciousness, and ordinarily you wouldn't add 3 and 3 together, but if you do, you get, of course, a 6. But being that the number 33 represents Christ consciousness, and whether you have a life path number, that totals 33, then this is a form of universal service. This is one of the most difficult paths to accomplish. I don't have a life path number of 33 in my chart, period. I have chosen this path. So I want to make that clear, that you may have this in your numerology chart. It may be a part of you already. You have chosen this prior to coming here. Or you can choose while you are already here as well. Or it could be hidden from your contract, which means you may not know about it. It will not exist in your numerology chart until you begin the process of waking up and figuring it out on your own. But every single day here within our human existence, we have a choice. A choice of service or not. A choice of self or others. Now, you can be a person who has this number or chooses this number and be a person that chooses on a, and I'm not saying this to belittle anything, all forms of service is essential and changes everything. And it's needed regardless. You can be an individual that chooses to be of service towards your family, your community, anything that you come in contact with on a daily basis. Or you can be an individual that goes beyond that. Regardless, it's going to be the path that's going to be challenging or has the most opportunities along with it. It is the number that is connected to consciousness itself, of spirituality itself, of service itself, of tolerance itself, understanding and healing and sacrifice. If you've already felt this in your heart, you already know. You know where you are and you know where you're going. And it doesn't matter at what type of scale you are choosing this type of service. If it is at a community scale or a universal scale, it's still necessary, still needed, and still going to be difficult or challenging. Let's use or has the greatest opportunities for you. Change your phrasing if it doesn't suit you. Nothing is difficult unless you allow it to be. I see difficult now, of course, as my opportunity. I don't see that word as a negative aspect like I used to. And I hope that you are at that level now as well. Strength is a huge part of this path. It means that you are a healer at a higher level. Children and animals are probably attracted to you. You have tons and tons of responsibility. People appreciate you. They come to you. People are drawn to you naturally. You give off peace and love and harmony. And if you don't, it's because you don't know your own power yet. And when you do, this will all ring true for you. There's a lot you can say about this number. All I know is that it's beautiful and it's headed our way. Take time to learn more about who you are and where you want to go in this life. And allow the day of March the 3rd to assist you in getting there. I wanted to add that if you are in resonance of me, then this is probably a part of your path. Learn to embody it. This is Christy. Much love, health, and healing your way. I am bringing purpose to your life. Take care.